welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, WIZE, and I'm so excited. Oh, hold on one second. Let me just make sure everything's on silent. I don't want to. There we go. All right, everybody. Welcome to another great show. My guests today are Mark Bruce and Duane Gibbs from Huddle for Success, with over 70 years of combined experience in business, coaching, and high performance. They help driven professionals and entrepreneurs break through plateaus and create extraordinary results. Mark built financial freedom by 36 through real estate and franchising, and Duane has spent 30 years coaching leaders to eliminate limiting beliefs. Today, we're going to be talking about mindset, mastermind power, and building your own playbook for life. So let's welcome to the show, Mark Bruce and Duane Gibbs. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Will. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Pleasure's all mine, guys. I'm excited. I'm really excited. So my first question is for Mark. Mark, launching your first business at 26 and semi-retiring by 36 isn't typical. What mindset separated you from the average path?
Well, I was very fortunate. I was born with a coach. My dad was a high school gym teacher, and he was a basketball coach and a baseball coach and a soccer coach, and I grew up with him all my life. I was very fortunate to be mentored by somebody in the sports industry. I grew up playing basketball. I played competitive basketball at DeMatha High School. We won a national championship. We were Morgan Wooten's only undefeated national champion. I think a lot of it comes from my dad and the coaches and the people that I've been around with. My uncle owned a furniture store. The gentleman across the street owned a lawn care service that I worked for. I worked for a lot of entrepreneurs, so I think it was. I don't think I had a choice, really. My dad shared books with me. He shared Think and Grow Rich and the Magic of Thinking Big. I had lots of study, and I think that's part of what did it. And then I had a wife who's very, very driven as well, and we made a really good team.
Awesome. So Duane, after 30 years coaching high performers, what's the most common mental barrier you see that they have?
I think they feel like they're at a position in their life to where they not only want to reinvent themselves, but they're at a position to where they're realizing that time's running out, and any change that really needs to be made needs to really that thought comes mainly to the forefront. And what I hear all the time is people want is more time. And that's something that you really can't buy. You can adjust your day, morning or evening, to create more time. Financial independence can allow you to have more time of what you want to do. But I can tell you, me at 58, and a lot of smart investors that I have worked with over the years, 99% of the people say I'm never going to retire. And when someone says that, it's kind of like, what do you mean? People just want to have a choice in life. They want to be able to work hard 30, 40 years, being able to live comfortably, and then go retire. I mean, so to ask somebody a question, what's real wealth to you? And I hear a lot of times people that have made millions of dollars will say, I don't need to make hundreds of or billions of dollars. I want to be able that shift has changed over the years. So at somebody at 30, they'll say, man, I want to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. The avatar of people that we work with from ages 45 to 70 say, I want to live comfortable because my time is running out and I want to be able to have a choice of what I want to do. I still want to stay active in my business. I pass the business off to our kids, but we still want to stay instrumental in it. So people want to stay active. I think they realize that you can travel so much. That's good. I lived in Southwest Florida where the only thing I did living there was boat and play golf. You can only do that so much, so that's the biggest thing that I find people at a crossroads with of, what's that next step look like for me?
So why use sports language like huddle and playbook in business and life?
Well, the name was Duane's idea, but as I mentioned earlier, I come from an athletic background. I think if you look over Duane's shoulder, you can see a Cal Ripken jersey. We kind of had that in common. While he's in North Carolina, I'm in Maryland. We both grew up in Maryland, and we're both sports fans. Sports, in my opinion, sports teaches you everything you need to know about business. You need to you need to practice. You are not good when you first start, so you've got to start slow. You've got to practice the fundamentals, and life is not a team. Life is not a solo gig. Even tennis players and Tiger Woods golfer, I mean, they all have a team. Life is a team sport, and we really like working with athletes, former athletes, because they've got the mental. They've done that. They understand that there's work to be done, and you can always get better, and you can always improve.
Absolutely, definitely. So you mentioned Think and Grow Rich. So Napoleon Hill said, "Belief is everything." How do you build belief when someone feels defeated?
I think that really comes from, what we do really well is we break down or peel back the onion, so to say, of what their problem really is, what's their pain point. And if you can identify the pain point, you can help them overcome any objection that they're having, that they're struggling with. It may be a soccer mom that now is an empty nester that wants to go out and start her own business, and she never felt like she could. Maybe she always lived with the issue of maybe that husband was the breadwinner, and no, you stay home and I'm going to go do. And we find that women really want to be in business. They want to be at the forefront of their own business and or for big Fortune 500 companies. We also find that people are really programmed, and we dig deep into how they were programmed over the years. And looking back at that, a lot of people have really went down a road of insecureness, and even people that have been very successful in their not only business life but personal life, there's something that's blocking them for that mindset to shift, for them to go do something different. And so I think we do a really good job at slowing it down, breaking it down to what the barrier is, and helping them overcome those challenges.
So what's one early mistake that became the final lesson for each of you?
An early mistake. Let's see. Which one of these 10,000
Yeah.
will we pick?
Yeah, how much time you got?
Let's see. One of the ones I studied a lot. I listened to a lot of people. Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad Poor Dad fame. I read all of his books. I loved them all. And he talked about how real estate. They only make so much oceanfront property. It's a great investment. Well, I bought into that, and I bought some North Carolina oceanfront property, and I paid a lot of money for it. And I got the wonderful lesson to sell it for half. Because 2009 came about and the banks went under, and all of a sudden it was hard. So I learned that real estate goes up, real estate goes down. You can learn from the past. It had happened before. And a lot of people have very short-term memories. They can only remember back to the recent past, 5 years, 10 years of what is happening, what could possibly happen. And there's education down through the ages. I mean, the same thing happened in 1929. I mean, real estate went up and then all of a sudden it went down. And it has happened many times. And I lost sight of that. And that was a very expensive lesson. Probably more expensive than going to Harvard for 4 years, but but it was a very good lesson to learn.
I would say the biggest learning lesson for me is taking the emotion out of investing. And so at a young age, I had a lot of emotion because my dad, even though he was very supportive father and with not only in my sports growing up, but in life. However, he wasn't a businessman. He worked for Coca-Cola company for 24 plus years, and he instilled in my head all the time of go work for a good company, 30 years, 40 hours a week, and everything will be okay. And at 17 years of age, I came home from school one day. He was sitting on a couch and he was emotionally distraught because they let him go. They didn't have to pay out the high salary, had to wait for a while before he can get his retirement. He had to go out. And now, as we hear horror stories all the time, and I when I tell this story, oh yeah, I know somebody like that, or yeah, I experienced that with my parents, and now they have to go out and reinvent themselves. And so, with that being said, I wanted to be an entrepreneur at an early age, and I was so emotionally tied with my initial investments that I got into that I took pride in what I did and I didn't want to sell it, but yet I needed the money because it was the right thing to do. And I think that I left too much money on the table initially, and that was because of the emotion. And I would have been able to make more a better rate of return than what I did. And if I would have, obviously, we all live hindsight. If I know now what I would have known in my initial investing career at 20 years of age, then things would have been different. And so I'd probably say emotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're gonna go back to this sports aspect, because why is success a team sport?
Well, as I mentioned, even solo athletes, golfers, tennis players, they have a full team behind them. Nowadays they've got a nutritional coach, they've got a strength training coach, they've got a mental coach. They've got a lot of people around them, because it is that it if if you're the smartest person in the room, it's hard to grow. And sports is all about growth. Life is all about growth. And the more you can grow, the more you can learn. That's what we're here for. We're only here for a very short period of time, 80 years. I had an uncle who was 102. I hope that I can live as long as he did. I know some people say, well, he was able to go to dinner when he was 102 and still get around. He had a blessed life. But as far as it being a team sport, a team can beat an individual star just about any time. When I was at DeMatha, I go back to high school. I played on a DeMatha team that we played a team from North Carolina that had a player named James Worthy. Most people, you might have heard of him. He's in the NBA Hall of Fame. He caught the ball first play of the game. He drove baseline. He dunked on our whole team, and we're like, oh my gosh, this guy's really good. Now we had one player on our team that made it to the NBA, didn't play very much, but we had 12 really good players, and we worked really well together. We had played together for. There was a core of 12 of us that toured Brazil for 17 days. It's that strength of a team can overcome a single individual, but I do believe that it's the fact that you want to have a coach. The more people, the way that I got into coaching is 2020 happened, and I had 3 businesses. I was concerned that when everything shut down, I would lose all 3 incomes, because there were rental income, mortgage income, and business income. And I was afraid all of that was going to stop. So I got out Think and Grow Rich Again, and I started reading it, and I read it 3 times, and I never caught it the first time I read it, but it is a playbook. It tells you to read it 3 times, go back and put it to use. And so I was doing that, and then I ran across a guy named Bob Proctor. and he was doing a 5-day challenge. And I listened to the 5-day challenge, and the very first day he said, I've read Think and Grow Rich every day since 1961. And this was in 2020. And I was like, oh my gosh, I bet he knows more than I do about it. And he became my mentor, leading me on how to implement Think and Grow Rich and how to help people with the information that's in it. So that, I don't know, Duane, you got anything about?
Yeah. So I would say, back in 1986 was the big time home-based businesses where there was medical bill auditing, there was cellular phone auditing, there was all different types of home-based businesses. Well, I'm going to tell you, since COVID, there are more home-based businesses and people working from home now than ever. Look at Delta Airlines, their call centers. People are doing it from home. However, everybody always has a weekly meeting. They have sub meetings, and the reason that is because if you're the only person in the room, how can you be creative? How can you who are you going to be able to collaborate with? And so the importance of I don't know, I totally believe that people in sports have a different mindset, only because I've played it all my life, various different sports. But your championship teams, even if you have not so good of a winning team, the progression of people being able to collaborate and work together always outweighs an individual. That's my feeling about it. You being able to talk to a like-minded group of people that can collaborate, whether it's something that you agree on. Mark and I, listen, we spend, if we had to pay per minute on Zoom, thank goodness for Zoom or GoToMeeting, because even though we live in two different states, we collaborate, we build our business all the time. We're working on different projects. We're working in our studies with our students. So we have to have collaboration, or else you're never going to evolve. And if you don't evolve, then you stay stuck. And now what happens is there's self-doubt that comes in place. Now you're losing clarity of the and focus of the direction that you want to go. And so now you're off track. So being able to have people that you're able to get involved with, I mean, there are more mastermind groups and coaching programs out there more now than ever. I mean, everywhere you look, there's a coaching program. And I think that you just need to find someone that can resonate with what your end goal is and knows more than you do. Because if you're going to put yourself into a room where you're the smartest person, then you're just wasting your time, and that's probably not a good team building block for you.
Well, absolutely no. You shouldn't be the smartest person in the room. And for me, when
I think it's counterproductive. I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, no. For me, it's been I start 2020. I launched my podcast, and from there, it's just the relationships I've been able to build from the podcast, and the networking I've been able to build, and the connecting with the people that, like, because I had no prior podcasting experience. I didn't know anything about RSS feeds, editing, video, any of that. And so as I built my podcast, I started networking with people and learning from people who had been in the industry for 10, 15 years. So being able to network with them and pick their brains and learn from them just helped me improve so much more.
Yeah, there becomes a unity in structure. I think that most masterminds they formulate, and now you may want to be a part of this group for X reason, and then realize it can help you with your business and spin off into some other areas. So collaboration and being able to work with a group of the magnitude that you're looking for. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, chapter 10 of Think and Grow Rich is the power of the mastermind.
Mhm.
It is one of the strongest things. And the mastermind is not unlike a huddle in sports. You get together, you say, okay, I'm open over here, or this guy's doing this, let's do that. A mastermind is the most powerful thing in business and in sports, I think.
And people have a preconceived notion of a mastermind group being multiple people. Well, in the dictionary, mastermind group that's two. It just takes two people.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. So why do most people set goals, right, and never hit them?
Duane, you want to take this one, or you want me to?
Oh, go ahead.
All right. A lot of times when people set goals, they set the wrong type of goal. They might say, I want to keep my income the same as it was last year, and I want to hit that goal again. Or they might say, oh, I want to increase by 10% or 15%. And that's what most businesses do. They say, we want to have 5% growth, 10% growth. And that type of goal is not one that will truly motivate you to be excited about. I mean, Bob Proctor talks about 3 types of goals: an A, B, and a C. And an A type goal is one you've already done before, and you get bored with it. You just go through the motions and you get bored. A B type goal is one you think you can do, and again, it might keep your attention for a little bit longer. But it's that C type goal. It's a wild. The guy who wrote Rockefeller Habits, Vern Harnish, used to call it a BHAG goal. BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. And if you have a BHAG goal that you truly want, it's the desire, it's the why you want that goal that will propel you through the hard times. Because on every goal like that, you're going to run into blocks. You're going to start a business, and then all of a sudden, okay, your funding's going to be a problem. One of my mastermind partners and I started a business buying discount mortgage notes, and that's kind of how I met Duane. And we went through when we started, we had lots of money and couldn't find any inventory of notes to buy. And we kept looking for inventory. And then all of a sudden, we because we were looking for it, we found the inventory, and then we ran out of money, and we didn't have any money. And so then we had to see, okay, how do we find the money? And then, we put the two together, and they work. But a lot of it is focus and clarity. If you're not focused and clear on what it is you want and why you want it, you end up losing interest and saying, maybe I need to do something else.
Absolutely, yeah. What's wrong with the way most people approach wealth?
I think that everybody puts a dollar amount on wealth. And I know that when I talk to people, I say, over the years when I've coached people, and I say, okay, what is it that you really want? I want to be rich. Okay, what is it that you really want, but it can't be money? Because money is a result, not a cause. You have to do something. I don't care if you're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or you're a 9 to 5 or at McDonald's. You go to work, you get paid. At the end of the day, you get a check. Okay, well, you had to do something to get that money. How are you going to create real wealth? What's that look like? Is a 9 to 5 job going to create real wealth? No, it's not. What type of investing do you have a tolerance for? Because everybody knows at the end of the day, you have to invest what you make to create wealth. But what's that wealth look like to you? There are some people that I have talked to over the years. Real wealth to them is and financial independence is them being able to buy a brand new car. They've never been able to buy a brand new car, or to take that trip that they've been dreaming about for the past 20 years. And so I think it really just depends on the individual of what real wealth looks like to someone. And I can tell you at the end of the day, everybody that I talk to, that is, again, within the age of our avatar. They're looking for more time. That's their wealth. They want more time for them to be able to have a choice to go do what they want to do. Why don't they accomplish it? I think people set their goals too high initially, especially if they never set goals. You have to have small mini wins along the way to accomplish your bigger goals.
Yeah. So how do small daily rituals compound into massive long-term results?
That's a question that we teach, and we utilize a drawing called the stick person. Right? And it talks about the mind. Your mind. Think of your mind as a circle on a piece of paper and draw a line across it from left to right. Think of the top half as your thinking mind, your conscious mind. That's your conscious mind that can think. Think of the bottom half as your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind only has the ability to absorb information and information that you feed into it. Your thinking mind can choose whether things are good or bad. Your subconscious mind can't. Anything that you feed into your subconscious mind, and it goes back to when we're born as a baby, for the first 3 years of our life, we really don't have a conscious mind. Our subconscious mind handles everything. It's kind of like autopilot. It's our operating system. It absorbs the language that we grow up with. It absorbs the habits and the beliefs that our parents have and that our families have. And having those beliefs in our subconscious, it's your subconscious mind that actually controls what you do. I think everybody knows somebody who's always late. There's somebody who's always late to a meeting. They're never on time. And it's not because they want to be late. It's built into their paradigm. Somewhere along their growing up, they were always late. There's another person who's always early, and that's in their paradigm too. So it's those one of the small rituals that we have everybody do is write out your goal as descriptive as you can and write it in the present tense as if you already have achieved it. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have money flowing to me from multiple sources in an abundance of quantity, and I'm living the life that I wanted. And you say that every morning before you get up. I mean, not before you get up, before you go to work. You say it every night before you go to bed. And the verbally saying it will reprogram your subconscious mind. It will eventually begin to believe it. So the little rituals like that. I use one every morning when I get up. I write 10 things that I'm grateful for. And I know Duane journals and has his own rituals. They are very, very important to changing your belief system, which is how you change your results.
Yeah, that was something that I kind of implemented last year. Was getting up and doing my affirmations and taking my time when I wake up to basically just kind of focus on how my day is gonna go. Just kind of envision how my day is gonna go, and that's how I start off every morning.
Yeah.
That was big. That's I like that you say that, Will, because up to about 2 years ago, I never was one who journaled, and I thought it was crazy until I did it. And I was very successful over the years, and had a bunch of salespeople working for me at one point, and just I figured that I got it. I got it. But I realized at the end of the day, until I started putting everything down on paper and escaping from that, and dismissing it and putting aside, not forgetting it, but being able to put it down and just eh, talk about whatever, it really helped me get to a different level every single day. Yeah, my mind was more clear. I felt more focused. I felt like I was able to close a chapter on so many things that I was harboring or that I needed to move on from, and it helped out greatly.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you reinvent yourself at any age? Because I know for me, right, it took me till I was 44 years old to kind of realize what my purpose was. It was kind of like I'm a pit boss in a casino. I make pretty good money, but I didn't know. I still didn't know what I was supposed to be doing in life. And then the pandemic hits. I started podcasting, and I started realizing that I have a voice. I have a platform. I've built a platform where now people come and share their secrets and their stories. And so I discovered that my purpose was to help serve others and build this platform and whatever other platforms that I can to help serve others and help them deliver their message.
I think that's great.
Yeah. So you said it was 2020, the pandemic that caused you to think that way?
Well, I was furloughed from work. I was furloughed. I had in 2019 I had purchased a mini podcasting studio, and I was going to start a sports podcast with a friend of mine.
Okay.
Because I like you, and I grew up playing sports, and I'm a big sports fan and everything. And so that was going to be that was going to be our show. We was going to do a sports part, and it didn't happen. Him and his wife got pregnant, and they were focused on the baby and everything. And so we never launched it. Then 2020 comes, the pandemic hits. The wife is as essential, so she's going to work. Casino pit boss is not essential, so I'm home. And she has a honey to-do list going out the door for me, and I'm like, I need to find something. I need to really start. And I finally stepped out of my comfort zone because I was just making up excuses to why I didn't want to do the podcast. It was like, who's gonna want to listen to me? I sound horrible. I just any excuse I was just making up. And so finally, I just said, you know what? Press record. And that was the beginning. Just once I pressed record and uploaded it, it's kind of like this big weight was lifted off of me. And now I was able to like, all right, this is nothing. I did it. Now and so from there, it just started growing.
Yeah, I think it's that it's your it's Bob calls it your paradigm. It's your beliefs and your habits. It's that little guy that sits on your shoulder and says, "Oh, don't do that. That might fail." Or, "Oh, why do you think you can do that?" It's that little voice that's your paradigm. That's one of the reasons most people don't take that step and do what their purpose was. Yeah, it's great that you figured that out on your own. That's amazing because most people do not ever figure that out.
Absolutely.
I would say my situation was kind of similar to yours, Will, and what I mean by that is, so for 30 years I did the same thing. I traveled all across the country educating people not only how to invest in real estate but the stock market, and then I got into the note business where teaching people how they can essentially be the bank on a smaller scale, so they can buy paper securitized by real estate. And I would travel about 45, 48 weekends out of the year. And that's a lot of time being gone. Went through a marriage, missed a lot of special holidays, missed a lot of things in life. And my story is this: I wanted to be able to make my dad, my mom and dad, but mainly my dad, real proud, because he always wanted me to go and get a good job and work well. And really, initially, he was skeptical of, oh man, if you go buy real estate, something's bad gonna happen, and I don't want nothing bad to happen for you. And I had a lot of family members that always told me I would never amount to anything. And so I did. For 30 years, I had great success. I really believe that, you know what, I'm on the top of the world. But there was something inside that was still bothering me. And what that was is I wanted to go out and do it on my own. So over 30 years, I worked for two separate companies, and I wanted to be able to go out, and I just didn't feel totally complete. I felt like there's more to what I can offer and that I can give. And I love people. I love being able to help them overcome their fear, their objections, and become successful in their own mind. Crap on what other people think, because at the end of the day, everybody's going to have an opinion. If you worry so much about what people think, you're never going to succeed yourself. And it's always going to be, oh, wow, I wish I would have had the opportunity to do it, but this is what held me back. And I can tell you that it's not easy. But the hardest part is waking up knowing that you have the opportunity and you never took the opportunity. That's the hard part. That'll keep you up at night wondering what if versus what am I going to do now that I'm successful at this? How is that looked at? Man, you're over the top. You're over the moon that not only do you have a choice, but you were able to overcome the objections and the fears that you had, not what someone else had. I remember, I'll never forget this. I had a lady in my class one time, and we were talking about wholesaling, how to be a wholesaler in real estate. And she goes, well, if I wholesale a deal, and what's that going to look like? And the buyers are going to know that it's my first time putting a deal together. And I said, do you hear what you're saying? And she goes, what? I said, repeat what you said. And she said, I realized that the investors are going to understand that it's my first time doing a deal. And I said, see, this is the problem that you have. You think people are going to view you when they have no idea who you are. So you already put yourself in a position of failure or concern, or this won't work. You think people can see you and, oh, this is Mary's first deal. This is Mary's first contract that she's writing up. And it's not. It's the way you view yourself, not how others view you. And so I think that's a big drawback. I think people get scared. And I'm not saying this is for everybody. There's a lot of successful people out there that don't have those fears that they talk about. That they talk about is the key, because what's all looks good on the outside is not always good in the inside, because there's a roadblock that challenges them, but yet they don't want to get off that horse because they've been successful. I'm going to tell you, it was a big step for me, financial step of making high six figures, and just walking away from something that I loved. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't complete inside. It was just time for me to move on and start doing something that I felt a little hesitant on for years, but I knew if I didn't take that step and make things happen, I would always wonder. And I'm too competitive to wonder what if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
The reason I love going live, right? Because you never know what somebody's gonna ask. And a good friend of mine actually has a question. His question is, he opened a 6 months ago a CD for his two grandkids with a couple of $1,000s in them at 4% interest. Where else can he invest this cash that would draw high interest? If you have any suggestions.
I do. Go ahead, Mark.
No, go ahead. Give it.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You said you had it. You're chomping at the bit. I can tell.
Yeah. So I can tell you that one needs to understand how to be the bank on a small scale. And what I mean by that is being able to go out and take your funds and go buy a mortgage note that's securitized by real estate, and that will bring you anywhere from 10 in the market right now, 10 to 12%. And that's a good number to look at. And what you have to understand is that it's securitized by the real estate. So a lot of investors say, well, what do you mean? I don't understand buy the paper. So and what I say to them is, if you ever bought a home, they had a mortgage through Wells Fargo. Next thing you know, they got a letter in the mail stating that, hey, you're now going to make your payments to XYZ bank, institution. So that meant that Wells Fargo sold off that paper to another company at a discount. And so for years, I would teach people how to go in and buy paper at a discount. And yet there are investment to value, investment to balance, and things that you need to look at. But for a safe investment for someone, I would tell them to go buy paper. That's securitized, obviously, by real estate. You can go out and buy car notes. You can go out and buy NFL contracts. You can go out and buy, notes on practically anything. But securitized by real estate, that real estate always goes up, even in a bad market. Real estate increases in value.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on how soon he's going to need his money.
Yep.
And what your risk tolerance is. A lot of people think putting the money in a bank is risk-free. And I will tell you, it is not. Since Dodd-Frank was a law that was passed back in the early 2000s that made it so if a bank fails, if you have money in a CD, you have basically lent the money to the bank, and the bank, while it's insured by FDIC, the bank can come after your money if you have too much money in the bank.
Wow.
Because you have lent money to them, and if they need the money because they're going under, they can take your money. So, while banks are what most everyone's familiar with and is comfortable with, there are lots of other things. The note business was how I met Duane. He taught me how to buy paper and notes. How much? He said a few $1,000s.
Yeah, and the grandkids are 2 and 9 months old. So yes, he put a couple of $1,000 in them for both, and at 4% interest.
He needs to open up a Coverdell account.
Explain that for him, because not everybody knows.
He does. Yeah.
So a Coverdell account, he's able to invest this money into, let's say he bought a note and he opened up a Coverdell account. You would go to companies such as
Mid-Atlantic IRA.
You can go to Mid-Atlantic IRA. You can go to Equity Trust. These companies offer, and they can set up for you these Coverdell accounts. And so the beauty about it is they're tax-free, number one. And number two, they don't have to wait until if they're 4 years old, it's going to be way out in time. Typically when they turn 16, they can get the money. So if they want to use that money for college, for an investment, they're able to do that. They can pull that money out and then go use it for an investment, versus waiting in like bonds and stocks where it goes out for so far in years. You got to wait until they're 59 or 65 or whatever it's set at. But a Coverdell account, you don't have to wait for that. So I would reach out to some type of IRA administrator, and any company that does self-directed Roth IRA, traditional IRA, and talk to them about, hey, I want to set up a Coverdell account or know more about it for my grandkids or my kids.
So
I would recommend that he studies cryptocurrency. There's a book called, oh man, I'm gonna have to pull up my phone and see it. But I've got it. It's a great book on what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. If he's investing for his grandchildren a couple $1,000s, If it were me, and I've done this for my nieces and nephews. I've bought them small pieces of a Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, I believe, but which is why he should study and talk to more people about it. But I truly believe that Bitcoin, which is now at $67,000 a Bitcoin, will eventually be at $10 million a Bitcoin.
Wow.
And that's my personal recommendation. It's what I do with my nieces. I am not a financial advisor. Please don't take it on, but research it and read about it, because I do truly believe that if he's looking for a 20-year investment or an 18 to 20-year investment, that's what I'd do with it.
And also in the note business, you can also broker notes to create fee income. So you have to understand the note business, but you don't have to have any money to broker a deal. So you can create fee income. Typically you can make anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 per transaction off of fee income, and people do it all the time. I've helped hundreds and thousands of people create fee income off of being able to show them how they can broker notes. And so with our training itself through Huddle for Success, we have a lot of connections over the years. I mean, combined experience, Mark and I, over 70 years. We have students and people that want to know, how do I invest? Okay, that's fine and good that you can help me with my business growth and my personal growth, but what about my financial growth? What's that look like? So we have connections for IRA companies, hedge fund companies that you can go get educated on the note business, real estate investment companies to where you can go invest your real estate, working with hedge fund managers. And so we have a lot of connections all the way through, people that need forced place insurance. What companies? Let's see, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, connections with those. So there are a lot of things that we bring to the table where I call it a one-stop shop, because not only personal, but business and also financial, we're able to help point the direction and help you in these areas.
Awesome. Well, he says thank you for the input. And,
Oh, that's great.
Best wishes for he and his grandchildren.
Yeah.
All right. So what does you were born rich really mean?
Well, it's the title of a book that Bob Proctor wrote, and I will tell you, it means something different to everyone. To me, what that means is that I was born with more talent and ability than I'll ever use, and yet it's up to me to do the most with that talent and ability, to work to build it. Steve Bowe was an executive at an insurance company, and his quote was, God's gift to you was more talent and ability than you'll ever be able to use in a lifetime. And your gift to God should be to make the most of your talent and ability in your lifetime.
Amen.
And, you were born rich. You were born rich. People think about money. Think and Grow Rich. People think about money. The Science of Getting Rich. People think about money. And not one of those books was written primarily about making money.
That's right.
They were how to succeed and have a rich and fulfilling life. That's what it means to me.
Yeah. I believe that's a how to survive. All those books that Mark just named, those are a how to survive book, and how you can implement the lesson within that to go out and create real wealth.
Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. So, how do relationships, purpose, and health factor into real wealth?
Well, all three of those are on our personal growth scorecard that we work with each of our clients on. There's 10 areas of their life that we review with our clients every quarter. We have them score on a scale of 1 to 10. It's your business or your career, your personal relationships, your friends, your spouse, your spirituality, your health. They are all big factors in what make up success and purpose in life. And we ask everybody, we do it ourselves, we ask all of our clients to do it, is to score themselves on those 10 areas and see how you're doing. And when you see how you're going to find, first time I did it, I think I scored a 2 on vacation. Vacations were one of them, because my wife doesn't like to travel by airplane and I don't like to drive. So we have a little challenge there. But I used to like to drive and that was fine. But lately I've got some neuropathy in my feet and it just doesn't feel as comfortable to drive. So I didn't score so well. So we've become aware that that's an area we might want to pay more attention to. So
Yeah, I love this scorecard just because we're able, with a new client coming in, we can gauge where he or she are at that particular time. And then every quarter, we go back and we show them how we're able to move the needle and their progression. And so now we can gauge it of where they're at in an area, but these areas over here aren't as fast. And so we need to focus a little bit more on this, because listen, just because you have a bunch of money doesn't mean that you're well, doesn't mean that you're mentally well, spiritually well, you're physically well. So there are a lot of determining factors. And again, that's why I always say money is a result, not a cause. If you don't have everything lined up, well, then are you really are is there really an independence there that you can draw a line in the sand and say, hey, everything lines up for me? And I'm going to tell you that percentage is about a 1%er in the country, where everybody can check yes in the box and I'm great all the way across. And I've been at it 30 plus years and I've never found one person that can say, I can check yes 100% in every single box. I've never found that person. And so that's why I was saying earlier, just because you have a bunch of money doesn't mean that everything again looks good on the outside, looks good on paper, looks good in the driveway, but inside internally there's areas that need to be improved. And I think that sometimes people let their pride get in the way. They're too prideful to step forward and say, hey, I really need help in this area because I'm so successful. And at the end of the day, they find that the thing that's holding them back the most of really getting to another level is their pride. And so we try to, check the humbleism at the door and try and let everybody understand that everybody that works with us is they all operate at a beginning level. And so what we do with each and every one of them, as Mark said, is with this scorecard, we're able to score you all the way through for an entire year. And so you're able to see your progression of how that works. And so it's very powerful.
the areas that you mentioned are top priority. When in high school, Morgan Wooten used to make sure that everybody on our team had our priorities straight, and he listed them. There were 4 priorities. Number 1 was God. Number 2 was family. Number 3 was school. And number 4 was basketball. And basketball did not come before any of the first 3 things that were listed. And that's carried over on my life. And it's God, it's family, it's health, and it's friends, and then it's business. It's that's what life's all about.
You look at any top producer in a Fortune 500 company or any super athlete, everything's in line. And I think athletes get a rap, as we all know, because it's all in the media's outreach all the time. This guy's signed this contract for a multi-million-dollar contract or whatever that is. They always focus on the money because at the end of the day, it's really negative. Mm-hmm. But look at how many people say, my mom was the only breadwinner, and she worked 2 jobs, and she made sure that I was able to get to the football field every single day, and she sacrificed her life so I have a better life. And I want to be able to now, excuse me, take care of my mom or buy her a home or buy her a brand new car or create financial independence for my brothers and sisters. I mean, there's a lot more to it. Yes, money is important. I'm going to tell you, I've had money and there's times that I didn't have money, and money is very important. But if you don't have a balance on that and get off the money, really get off the money and focus what's so dang important. Any top athlete that you ask, they're not going to tell you, man, I'm so grateful I make all this money. They're going to tell you, I'm so grateful because I'm able to do better for my family. It helped my self-confidence. It helped my physical ability. Money will be last. Even though they got it, money is probably going to be way down on there. My spirituality stronger. I'm now able to reunite with my kids or my family or whatever that looks like. And it has more meaning to it.
Absolutely, man. This has been awesome. What's one mindset shift? What one mindset shift would change someone's next 12 months?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that helped change mine was the mindset of gratitude. Be appreciative of everything that you have, even the challenges. You can learn from the challenges. And one simple way to do that, and like Duane said with his journaling, I thought it was silly at first, but write down 10 things that you're grateful for every morning. I'm so happy and grateful for. And it can be as simple as a nice hot cup of coffee. It doesn't have to be serious stuff. I mean, I write down a lot that I'm so grateful that I have all my good friends from high school and business, because I've got some really good friends that I'm tight with, and my health is one of the things that I'm always grateful for, because I'm 65 and I'm still fairly healthy. So, my back's a little sore these days, but in general, I'm very healthy. So I'm grateful for that. Be grateful, and it will change your perspective on how you look at the day.
Yes, it will. Definitely.
I would say don't forget where you came from, number one. And number two, be adaptable to change. Accept the ability to change. Because if you don't recreate and you don't change, then that means you're staying stagnant, and then therein lies other issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, if you can not forget where you came from and create change within your life, therein lies progression.
Yep.
Yep. I agree with that 100%. But gentlemen, this has been awesome, man. But we've come to the part of the show where I'm going to step off the screen and you guys get to plug away, let everybody know where they can find you guys, what websites, everything.
Duane, go for it.
Okay. So as Will said, you can reach out to us by going to huddleforsuccess.com. We offer a 45-minute free consultation. So if there's questions that you have, or there's goals that you've been set back on, or there are goals that you have never been able to hit before, and you're looking to, hey, what's this look like on paper? By all means, reach out to us and you can schedule an appointment with Mark or myself. Also, you can go to Huddle for Success and download our book, Playbook for Life.
I got it.
Here it is. Playbook.
I'm doing Vanna White.
So you can download Playbook for Life for free. If you want to go to Amazon, it's $9.99. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. Or if you don't have the unlimited Kindle, it's only $4. And so It's a great book, 74 pages, but it's an easy read, and it has all to do with mindset. You can put yourself into a position and say, how would things look differently and change if I were to do X? And what's that look like? And so we appreciate the time that you gave us, Will. Really appreciate what you're doing for your audience and how you were able to overcome your challenges and create success for your podcast. But that's the best way to reach us. And, we look forward to answering questions or any way that we can help people go out and achieve their goal in creating real success for them and their family.
Awesome, guys. This has been a great episode. I really do appreciate your time, man. I dropped some real nuggets and some gems in there. I really do appreciate the time. But unfortunately, the show's coming to an end. But don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show. We'll chat a little bit off the air. But once again, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Will. God bless to you.
God bless you too, guys. Thank you. All right, everybody. Another great episode is in the books, man. If this episode challenged your thinking or sparked something bigger in you, grab the free e-copy of Playbook for Life, book your complimentary 45-minute huddle session, and explore what it would look like to design your next chapter intentionally. Links are going to be in the show notes, and if you know someone who needs this huddle call, send this episode to them. You know how your boy WIZE does it. Peace out.